Hello and welcome back to Esoteric Ebb. Last time we resolved this whole situation here at the square, siding with the dwarves, and now there are multiple directions I could head off into. Oh, there's a question mark here. Let's take a look at that first. There is an esoteric effect in place here, stopping rainwater. Okay, that seems useful. Okay, so we could either go that way, there's some people there, or we could go down to the more quest-related place, I think. Let's go here first. Why not? Let's take a look at this. Behold, goblin wall art. Looks nice. Engage. A green face is splattered across the facade, staring wildly towards a flaming sky, and the dragon spread across it, or something like that. Can you call this art? What does it mean? What does this tell me about the state of Norwich? Place your hand upon the wall or leave the art alone? What does it mean? It represents a devotion, albeit in an asinine way. The coins stand for all the fat loot the dragon brought to her people. You could get behind that. The fire is the soul, a boundary between the real and the heartful. What does this tell me about the state of Norwich? Nothing really. That goblins are artists? As folks seek a belief, they have simply made one out of this supposed dragon lady. They should worship Earth instead. There we go, back to insanity. Okay, I'll place my hand upon the wall. You take a step forward. The painted stone surface is smooth. Truly ancient. You feel an esoteric urge to communicate with this object. Constitution DC 15. Tell me your secrets. Oh, I have an advantage on that, of course. Okay, we have a +4, so we need an 11 on one of 2 rolls. That's not too bad odds-wise. Let's try. Well, that works. Very good. You sense a crack in the wall. It wasn't there before. Then you hear the voice, a faint voice, a hoarse voice. Secrets end when spoken. Talking to walls now. Awesome. What's it like being a wall? Nothing. Nothing good or nothing bad? Nothing. In isolation. What do you know about Norwich? Nothing. Do you know what Norwich is? No. Who built you, wall? A god. Cool it with the heresy. I'm a devoted servant of Earth, and I don't listen to any other gods. Or which god? I'm gonna ask which god. Eomestra. Never heard of that god. Yeah. DC 20 intelligence. Not gonna happen. Sounds like a weak god to have been forgotten like that. How old are you? 15 time Alines. How many years is that? 2000. What's your name? Chansey. That's a pretty name. I don't like that name. I don't have any opinion on that name. That's a pretty name. Okay. What's your political affiliation? Fear. Perfect response. Are you sure you understand the question? Yes. Alright then. These are all the questions I have, Wall. Okay. The crack disappears as quickly and silently as it came to. Then silence. The walls of this place hold more spirit than the people. Bow to the wall. Thank you for your time. Okay. Alright, what else do we have here? Let's just take a little walk around before really interacting with things. Oh. Woodbark. Take a look at it. A tree rising far above. A show of nature's true force. Let's engage with that. You look up at the branches of a branching tree. It stands tall in the garden, towering over you. It is majestic. Nature is reaching tall and deep. These roots go below the city, nay, even below the river. Touch the tree. Your hand lands firmly on the bark. Good tree. Strong tree. Connecting with the natural world. Well done. Let's look up at the branches above. The wind causes the leaves to dance. Wait, between the branches, high above. Oh. Oh! Is that a hole in the bark? A hollow, just wide enough for you to stick your hand inside. Something glimmers up there. Treasure. In a bird's nest. Yes, get up there. Now! It could cause great physical harm if you fell from that height. And heights are scary. The branches shudder in a sudden gust. Ah! You grab onto the trunk. I think we have a healing spell, it's fine. Pressing your entire body against the rough bark, you slowly make your way upward. Go, go, go! Just a bit more. Dexterity 13. Ooh, we need a 12 on that. Wrapping your body around the trunk, you lift yourself up. The bark is rough enough for you to get a pretty firm grip, despite the vertical nature of this feat you're attempting. One foot and hand moves after another, each holding on to dear life. You take a deep breath and reach up towards the upper branches. That's when you realize you're nowhere close to where you thought you were. Hold on now. Grabbing onto air is not a good idea as you fumble about. Suddenly the world drops around you. Your feet slip from the bark, your soul falling into hell. Okay, an instant later you hit the ground. Something cracks, sending shooting pain up your leg and arm. The tree towers over you, taunting you. Shake it off, you've had worse. The leaves are quite big. What's a bracken tree? Bracken tree again. Don't know. Something to do with thickness? To do. What does the purple fool want now? Never mind. Like a birch but thicker, made by primal forces of Ascani. Primal, one of the 3 pillars of magic. It is represented in the natural, wild, savage and elemental forces of Jor. They cannot be controlled, only bargained with. Bye, tree. Okay, can I cast Cure Wound using a 1st level spell slot? Yes, please. 7 hit points. Now that's nice. That was worth it. Okay. We're nearly back to full. 1 HP missing, but we have 14 out of 15. That's good enough for now. We haven't really gotten into fights yet. That might happen at some point, but I don't really have any offensive spells and only like a hammer that isn't really made for combat at this point, so I'm probably not in the best place for combat anyways, so avoiding that for now is probably the better call. Nature seeps through the cracks. Yeah, if we could keep the combat-focused stuff, you know, keeping that for a bit later when we're stronger and maybe have some better spells, is probably the better choice. Let's take a look at this. What is that? A shard. Let's trifle. A shard of Jor. I'll take it. That was rerolls. Yes, that was rerolls. I remember now. Should we consume a what's it called? An incense? I think I'll wait with that. I think I'll wait. I don't think that's necessary yet. Okay, let's see. Who are you, my friend? Let's take a look. It's a strength behold. Let's give it a go. 16 plus 0. Okay. Braxo, pencil wing, devil. Level 2 scribe. Surprisingly content, hard worker, has a nested interest in the current regime. Devils used to be allowed into the city only on work visas, so he could have served for several decades. Somehow you just know this devil would gladly organize a mass genocide against non-humans in this city. Oh, well, I guess let's talk to the asshole here. Let's engage. You raise your hand towards the sky. Above you sits a tiny red creature. His wings flutter faintly in the wind. The fiend throws a quick glance your way. He's annoyed. An evil creature, beware. Staring at a piece of paper, he does not acknowledge your presence. What you're reading? Hello, I'm from the local government. Hey, little guy, why aren't you on my shoulder? I think I will refrain from saying things like that pertaining to other people's stature. That sounds like it would be rude and might cause a confrontation, which, like I said just now, I don't think I'm really ready for. So, what you're reading? A sigh escapes the fiend's maw. He slowly puts down the paper. The paper is actually a torn-out page from a magazine. I like the funny pictures. I believe the fiend is being sarcastic. I like the pictures too. I like the articles more. I don't read much unless it's political. I like the articles more. You can read? Congratulations. He's mocking you. +1 hit point. Horrifically snide remark. I like this devil already. I don't know why I got the hit point back, but... oh wait, no, I think it's the 1 feat that I have, right? I get healed passively for certain things. Was it passive wisdom? I'm gonna have to look at it again. I like this devil already. Wait, he says, leaning in to get a good look at you. Earthguard, a cleric. Hell's you doing here? That reaction, your presence is uncommon. You can go wherever you want, fuck off. I'm not allowed in Tolstad? Divine mission, the usual, or none of your business. I'm not allowed in Tolstad? Course you're allowed. Just not often you guys are here. I, for one, am very happy for your presence. This place has gone downhill since the city let the goblins and freeze riders run amok. We need some damn order in this place. Wise words. So, if you need any legal advice, just let me know. He gives you a tiny sharp smirk. You should be aware of the fact that this is literally a devil. A good little devil. Are you a barrister? A tiny barrister? Can you give me free legal advice? Should I invest in stocks? What about alignment? What does the law have to say on resurrections? What about charm person? I have some questions about a PPG. You hear about the tea shop? Citizen, nod and leave. You hear about the tea shop? Yeah, of course. Pretty hard to miss when flying past Tolstad. What is your take? It blew up. Not sure what else you want to hear. Why do you think it blew up? Honestly, haven't seen a blast zone like that since the Coast War. And you didn't hear this from me, but... The little fellow trusts you. He is your friend. Strength says on a failure. The scorch marks look like those from a fireball, but not the kind you get from a trigger-happy pit fiend. We're talking high-level wizard stuff. Be careful, cleric. Powerful forces are at work here. Thinking about it for a few more seconds makes it clear to me that it's all a big cover-up. Wouldn't be the first time a city-trained spellcaster goes a little off the hinge. Slander! The city does not train people to explode. Other than that, not to be self-incriminating or anything, but could be a fiend, or an elemental. I mean, Waterlane has shipments from Kargamesh every other month. Maybe a fire elemental slipped through. Who knows? It can't be a cover-up. The city is honorable. I think it's a rogue spellcaster. A fiend, huh? Evil elementals on the loose. I think we've currently been going down the rogue spellcaster route, but a fiend, huh, is a question. A fiend, huh? Don't look at me like that. Worst thing I can do is turn into a bat. An abnormally handsome bat, of course. Ruffled feathers added. But I'd suggest having a chat with the owner of the tea shop. Who knows what feathers were ruffled, eh? He gives you an ominous chuckle. I have some questions about a PPG. Permission of public gathering? Oh, that was that. I forgot what PPG was. Yeah, I think I know what you're getting at. He throws a look over his shoulder. He is aware of the dwarves' blight. What would you look for if you're investigating a PPG? The Askel dwarves got an expired PPG. What's a PPG? Can I have a PPG? How long does it take to get a PPG? You know what? That's a good question. A week, depending on your contracts and your pouch. What's a PPG? VM takes a deep breath. Permission of public gathering is a legal document showing the intent of the magistrate of a certain district to allow an individual or a party represented by that individual to gather in a public place such as a town square, street or city tunnel to perform, protest, exclaim, fraternize or any other non-commercial activity. What would you look for if you're investigating a PPG? Wording. Legalese can get pretty complicated and a good barrister could twist that stuff into oblivion. Other than that, I check the basics. Names, spelling, dates. A single lithographic error can cause a landslide of troubles. He smirks. I know from experience. Can I have a PPG? Not for me, ask Darrow. Or maybe don't, unless you've got some really important message to deliver to the people. Darrow who? Magistrate of Torstad. He's in charge here. Basically. Arguably. He says the quiet part out loud for comedic effect. I'm gonna leave the Asgard dwarves alone on that. I mean, they're dispersed, so they don't really have that much to fear from it, I suppose, but still. That's all about the people. I don't have to do half the devil voice when I just read the options. It's hard enough in my voice as is. That's all about the PPG. What about Charm Person? Charm Person. Such a fantastic spell. Of course, all spellcasters are required to be registered in Norvik. It's the same in all not completely chaotic city-states. There are certain spells that just are not allowed at all, like Fireball, as a popular example. But Charm Person is, despite its devilish mind control, legal, if it is cast by a registered cleric or city-hired interrogating mage. Private entities are not allowed to learn or cast it, although I can promise you many still do. People don't tend to like it when I cast Charm Person on them, or good to know. Yeah, people don't tend to like it when I cast Charm Person on them. That's understandable. Folk tend to enjoy agency. Free will, you know, it's pretty popular. But if you ask me, it's overrated. People don't know what's best for them. What a horrid worldview. If you allow the state to rule your world, you'll surely be sent right into hell. What does the law have to say on resurrections? That's one hell of a question. He smirks for a while. Higher tier resurrections aren't illegal. They're just not available to anyone. Not available? What about low level resurrections? Does a murder still count if the victim is resurrected? Are you legally considered alive after a resurrection? Does death absolve you of your crimes? That's all. Okay. Not available? Figured a cleric would know better than me, but he says and shrugs. Spells over 4th or 5th are rarely seen these days. If you want to know why, go pray. Your god grants you magic. In his wisdom, he only grants higher power when needed. In your lifetime, it has not been needed a lot. After Earth died, it's been a bit hard for even the top-ranking clerics to manage higher tier magic. At least, if you believe the rumors at the tower, which you should. What about low-level resurrections? There's Revivify. That's it. High-ranking officials love having clerics around for this one spell. Bunch of pussies. Does a murder still count if the victim is resurrected? He thinks about the question for a bit. There's been cases. Heard of a man stabbed in a bar fight, bled out just in time for a drunk cleric to arrive. Cast Revivify and the bloke lived. The stabber ended up being charged with a major transgression of personal well-being. And that's not murder per se, but argue it had more to do with the fellow's barrister making it clear to the judiciaries there was no killing intent. So, not an accident, but not a murder. Just a brawl gone too far. But that would be a hard sell if the victim wasn't breathing. A complex scenario, something clerics often have to contend with. But in most cases, I'd say yes. So don't go around murdering folk and revivifying them, cleric. Would be kind of funny, but, don't. Are you legally considered alive after resurrection? Yes, for all intents and purposes, you are alive. Undeath, on the other hand, would be a very different affliction. And how is that defined? As long as the necromancy is considered of divine origin and the soul is returned to a healthy body, then it is considered a normal resurrection. If the origin is more black magic shit, as they say, or some kind of corpse animation, then it would be considered as bodily sacrilege. And that's a top-tier criminal offense. How top is it? Oh, it's up there. Does death absolve your crimes? Now you're asking real questions. But no, it doesn't. There's been actual laws signed in old kingdoms over this shit. He leans in, looking excited. You got the devil going. That's a good thing? So, classic story. Alright. A real bad guy is caught murdering his neighbor. Real sick shit. He is executed. After a quick trial, justice wins again. Everyone's happy. But surprise, some holy man raises him up a couple of months later. Death and rebirth. Holy man or foul necromancer. In this situation, the bad guy did technically pay for his crime. His life was taken by the state. Just because somebody gave it back to him doesn't change that fact, right? Well, people weren't too happy with that, as you can imagine. Thus, the common legal term these days for capital punishment is DIP, death in perpetuity. Stands for death in perpetuity. Kind of funny when you think about it. Makes total sense. One death is enough, I think. I follow the law. Makes total sense. It does. The city of Norvik might be a bit of a bureaucratic mess at times, but believe me, the lawkeepers know their shit. So, to keep criminals DIP'd, most states tend to hide, lock up, or simply burn corpses and spread the ashes using non-resurrectable methods. A proper DIP'd dead guy shouldn't be able to return without the level of some miraculous 9th level spell, which obviously these days isn't too likely. That's all I wanted to ask about resurrections. Anything else? What about alignment? Ah, yes. The overrules of morality. Norvik does not moralize over alignment officially. Nor do most of the city-states across the coast. Why don't we lock up all the evil folk? And you, being a devil, but why? But why? Look, really, I'm no expert. If you want one of those, I suggest heading down to Waterlane. Scholar Appledent has an office there. He'll be sure to indulge you. He cackles and squints at you. That halfling's got one hell of a green lean. If you catch my drift. So be careful not to catch any bad ideas from him, you hear? Should I invest in stocks? Oh. I do not give, nor have ever given investment advice. But... Yes? He looks you up and down. I should ask, have you ever bought shares before, cleric? I don't think so. Okay, some basics then. Popularized by late Divine Era human adventure companies, a share is essentially a percentage of ownership of a certain venture. Divine Era. Divine Era, the third out of 5 eras, when the first gods were born out of mortal folk, and power began to entirely fall into their wonderful and fragile hands. Could be a guild, could be a company, or a specific adventure, something that is supposed to grow over time, so you can increase the value of your securities in that venture. It's a risky way to increase your capital without actually doing any real work. Why is it risky? Sounds like free money. So should I buy stocks? Where can I buy stocks? Have you ever bought stocks? Could people buy stocks in me? What about currency trading? That's something I've heard about too. That's all I have to ask about stocks. Have you ever bought stocks?
Sure, I spend about 40% of my income in risky ventures. Sometimes I even get paid in securities, which is nice since I don't have to pay any middlemen.
Could people buy stocks in me? The little red dwarf stares at you.
If you were to set yourself up as a venture, then maybe? I mean, if you could convince someone to invest in you, without breaking any laws regarding investment advice, I'd be impressed, so why not?
What about currency trading? That's something I've heard about too.
Oh, that's just the art of switching between various currencies. Say you've got a pouch full of old embers. That is, the old draconic coins. They're made of gold, so even though there are no governments these days who support it, you can always just sell them for the gold value. Great, that's the most basic form of it. But when it comes to city-backed currencies, it gets more complicated. If you got 10 Brimarks, and let's say you want to convert them into Reedsian 10s, how many do you get?
I don't know.
Me neither. The value of each currency fluctuates day to day, as does the exchange rate to each other currency. Not to mention the location as well. Tens are powerful because of the far reach of the Free Strider trading characters. Brimarks are near useless in Norway, so the exchange rate, while still not nothing, is quite low. That makes Blood City corporations way less interested in investing here, which then perpetuates the weak value of their currency. Signs of old Diminor are used in some places, sure, but bring them out in Norway and any shopkeeper will laugh at you, holding out those shiny little crystal discs.
Old Diminor. A term for Diminor, often used to refer to the band before it was renamed Reeds during the end of the post-war capitulation agreements. Some say it with sarcasm, some say it with pride, some say it with fear.
While the penning is accepted automatically, almost as if it's a slightly less valuable crown. Then the soul is, on the other hand, extremely valuable, just because of the Golden Horde's influence. And the Ilim Yanpala, those weird little ice cubes, well, I'm guessing you've never seen one and never will. Take one to an exchange station and they will quite literally think you're messing with them. But yeah, that's some info for you.
He has been long-winded. Thank you. He nods and grins.
Economy, messy and fun.
Why is it risky? Sounds like free money.
Good question. Imagine you invest in an adventuring party. They head into the Verdun Hills to dive into some great era tomb, or an esoteric area filled with talking cats. Something weird and dangerous, but with potential for a lot of cool treasure to be found and brought back. There's a major chance that those adventurers die out on their journey. If they do, you lose all the money you invested. They could make it back, in which case you'd get a percentage of the treasure based on your share, but how often do adventurers come back with a bunch of treasure these days?
So should I buy stocks?
Look, there are rules in place. Norway has laws governing what one can and cannot suggest when it comes to financial agency. Your god made those laws to protect people of lower than average intelligence from being tricked by those with ill intent.
Where can I buy stocks?
You can buy shares directly from a venture trader. Basically, someone can give you a piece of paper that says, I owe you, with some legal information on it. Or you can go to a trade hub. I don't think the Tolstad exchange is open until after the election, though.
That's all I have to ask about stocks. Can you give me free legal advice?
Yes. I'll gladly assist a member of the Earth Guard any day. Just ask.
Oh, okay. That's all the advice I've already gotten. I don't like the tiny part here. I'll ask it anyways.
No, I have no legal position within the city. I'm just fairly knowledgeable in the magistrate's code.
He shows you a foul grin. So what type of work do you do?
If you love what you do, you will never work a day in your life.
He says and smirks. So what do you do? Is there a thing missing here? Is there an answer missing? That sounds profitable, always on call, huh? Always on call, huh?
For sure, but I get around quickly.
Okay, so I don't know what he does. You know what? I'll try again. No, that sounds profitable.
Sure is, although there's a lot of time spent waiting around too. So I've picked up some hobbies.
What do you do in your spare time?
Calligraphy.
He likes drawing. How quaint. A true man knows the value of lettering.
Oh, and I do love me some reading. Gaining access to the Darrowian Library changed my life.
A Darrowian Library, the largest public library in Norway. You spent many years in your youth inside those stony walls. What's it like being a little red guy? I don't know about that one. What are you voting in the upcoming election?
What am I voting for? Same as you,
The little devil says with a laugh.
the good guys.
That means?
The city, the elites are quite literally feeding my trove at this point. You'd think I'd vote for someone to topple them?
Voting in a self-interest, as anyone reasonable would do. So you're being selfish in your voting. Wise choice. Interesting. I don't have a political opinion myself. I'm not going for the centrist. So you're being selfish in your voting.
Yeah, who wouldn't be? You think those dwarves would be voting for some hippie as Gallist if they were the ones with the palaces? I don't think so, not for a second. Anyway, you wanted something else?
Fine, I'll ask it.
You want my honest answer or the one I tell my clients?
Honest.
Okay, let me put it like this. It fucking sucks donkey shit. Do you know what it takes to get a promotion these days?
No?
We're talking decades of servitude to some sadistic fuck that wants to return to Gorgorian's greatness or some shit like that. And then, after risking your life and humiliating yourself, there's a chance this fucking guy will put in the effort of promoting you. And if you're unlucky, you'll turn into a freaking bug. Or worse, something without wings.
Tell me about these promotions.
Sorry, forgot not everyone knows how Devilkin work. Let's put it like this. Devils have a ranking system. Some are lower, some are higher. Only way to get higher and metamorphose into a more powerful creature is to be promoted by someone with a higher rank. But hey, could be worse,
He says and cackles.
Could be a demon.
I'm done. I've asked everything I wanted to. He throws up his little arm in the air.
It's over, by the gods.
Citizen? Okay, I'm gonna be honest, my voice is already shot. I'm gonna take a quick break, and if I can calm my voice down, I'll be back for the next episode in the same recording session. We'll see.